Hey everybody, welcome back to Pete's Classic Cycle, and today we are continuing work on this beautiful 1972 Kawasaki S2 350. As I'm sure you can see, I've moved ahead and done some more work to the S2. I've got the frame pretty well completely stripped down. That means I'm now at a point in my process where I feel comfortable removing the front end. Another thing I'm sure you've noticed is the orientation of the bike on the bike lift. And that's simply to help me gain access to the front end and make it easier to remove. So all I basically did was rest the frame to the top of the lift, rotate it 90 degrees so that the front end is overhanging, make sure that everything is secure, of course, and that should give me full access to the front end where I'm now ready to pull it off with zero interference from anything else. Make sure that everything is secure, of course. Everything is secure, of course. Whew. Well, that was easier said than done. As you can see, I had a bit of an oversight and I completely forgot to fasten down the front end of the frame. So when I went to remove the front end of the bike there, basically the tension on the rear straps kicked the frame up. The front end dropped out, the steering stem got caught in the headstock, which left me in a bit of a balancing act, and the catch bucket that I had for all the ball bearings did not catch a single one. So I now know what I'll be doing tonight, picking bearings up off the floor. But I'm not going to hide anything, is what it is. I made a mistake. I wanted to show you guys, so it'll remind myself in the future and hopefully remind any of you guys to also make sure the front end is secured down if you're ever removing the forks in that manner. So next up is time to work on the motor. If you haven't noticed yet, it's looking a little bit cleaner. That's because I took advantage of it being all sealed up together and literally scrubbed it with a toothbrush to get all the grease and grime out of it and bring back the nice raw cast aluminum look that once sported brand new 1972. And we know from the last video that this motor is running. It holds an idle very nice. I didn't see any signs of excessive oil being burnt, which could indicate a bad crank seal on the clutch side. So at this point, I don't deem it necessary for complete engine teardown rebuild situation. You know, kind of if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of thing. Now, with that said, we are going to do a partial teardown. So the top end is going to come off. We'll remove the clutch cover, remove the points cover and all that. And that's for two reasons. One, it gives us an opportunity to inspect all the components for any damage that may indicate a full engine rebuild. And two, while everything is off the bike, that's another good opportunity to refinish all the individual parts. So when it comes time to reassembly and putting it back in the frame, this little 350 will be looking brand new again. So without any further ado, let's get cracking. Let's pull off the top end and the two side covers and start making this thing look fresh as a daisy. So currently we're at a bit of a standstill with the motor, and reason being is I don't have the parts on hand that I'd like to replace to freshen this thing up, which you then need to reassemble the motor. So until I get those overnighted in from Japan,
overnight parts from Japan,
this is how it's going to sit. I've left the clutch assembly intact, the pistons are still on, but I do plan on servicing the clutch. The pistons will be replaced and the outer crank seals will also be replaced along with all the oil seals and gaskets. With the motor now on hold, I took advantage of the downtime and prepped a lot of these other parts for final assembly. So as you can see here, I've got the side covers and the top ends prepped and ready to go back on the motor for when we hit that stage. So to give you a brief walkthrough of what I did with these parts is I ran them all through a sandblaster using a nice fine glass bead media, and the reason I use glass as opposed to sand or other abrasives, is the glass bead gives a really nice clean surface finish, and unlike sand, which would actually chew away at the surface, the glass bead actually kind of peens it smooth. So basically what that ends up leaving you with is a really clean, uniform surface finish that is less likely to trap grease in the future because the surface, as mentioned, is actually peened smooth instead of having chunks gouged out of it. So the glass bead is really friendly on the aluminum. So once these parts are all blasted, the side covers got painted in the original silver paint as they came from factories. And the top end, to continue prepping that for final assembly, is once these were blasted and then all the glass bead cleaned out of them, I moved ahead and I resurfaced all of the, sealing surfaces on both the heads and the cylinders. So that way, when we go to torque the heads down, it'll make a nice solid seal. And I also took advantage of the downtime and polished up the intake manifolds. This isn't really original, but it gives a nice bit of pop between the carbs and the cylinders once final assembly is complete. So that's it for me right now. Until I get the rest of the parts to reassemble the motor, I've done all that I can at this point. So once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoy these videos, and as always, please ride safe.